Well, you know, first of all, let me just say that I really can't blame those people, and I'll tell you why. The truth is that we don't teach history in our schools in this country, and that, I think, was the greatest failing of successive Nigerian governments, that they banned the teaching of history in our schools. And as a consequence of that, you have a whole generation of Nigerians, particularly the young ones, and I'm sure it's primarily the younger ones that are talking like this, because the older ones know, because they were alive and they witnessed it, but the younger ones have no idea. I mean, 1999, when we got democracy in this country, anybody that was around 10 years old at the time is now 26 or whatever it is, whatever the numbers are. Now, they have no idea what happened when Buhari was in power, which was, I believe, in 83 to 85. They weren't born yet, most of them. They have no idea. They were never taught in the schools. And, you know, that really is the fundamental problem that you have. You may want change, but it is logical to say that the change that you want must be a positive change. They don't know what Buhari is. They don't know what he stands for. They don't know what he has done in the past. They don't know what he believes in. They are so upset with what has been happening in this country over the last few years, not just under Jonathan, even before that they feel that they are yearning for some kind of change. But we are encouraging them. We're trying to tell them that, look, the change that you want must be a positive change, not a negative one, not back to the Stone Ages, not back to the Dark Ages. A situation that you want to empower or put into power a man that has absolutely no respect for human rights, that has killed people in the past by applying retroactive legislation. You're aware of that case of, you know, where people were convicted of crimes, that when they committed those crimes, they did not attract the death penalty. But because he now applied the law retroactively, he killed them, despite all the pleas from all the leaders in the world that don't do this. He shot them. He shot a crippled woman to death. He had her executed. This was a man that was indicted over and over again. Whether it was the PTF, which he ran under Abacha's government, where 25 billion naira was disappeared, and he was indicted by a report. I was in the government at the time. I saw the report. I know when he was called to Obasanjo. I know what Obasanjo told him privately. And mysteriously, he was to be prosecuted. I'm telling you this. I was spokesman of that government at the time. Let's not cover this up. And I'll say it here. He was to be prosecuted. Mysteriously, the day that decision was taken, the man that was running the whole place, his brother-in-law, died under mysterious circumstances. Some say he committed suicide, others say he was murdered. I don't know. He would have been the principal prosecution witness. That's how Buhari escaped the PCF issue. Number two, when he was Minister of Oil, I believe it was 2.8 billion naira, which is the equivalent of about $3 billion today, because our naira was very strong. It disappeared under his watch. Where are his credentials? Of being Mr. Clean, Mr. Know-It-All. This was a man, you need to read the speech that President Babangida gave after he removed him from office about the nature of Buhari. This was a man who took a gun and put it to the temple of his commander-in-chief, that is Alhaji Shehu, President Shehu Shagari at the time, put it to his temple and took power from this man. He took power, he took the treasury, he took everything by removing him and planning a military coup. And he removed, by the barrel of the gun, a democratically elected government. That's the greatest and highest form of corruption. And it's only ever happened twice in our history. If the military is doing coup for one another, that's entirely their problem. I have no problem with that. But this was a man that 30, whatever it was, years ago, he plotted treason against his commander-in-chief. He took power from him. And he took his seat. Now, 30-something years later, he wants to come to power through the democratic process. This was, I mean, it's unacceptable. This was a man, in case those that are saying they want change don't know, that ordered the abduction, the crating, the beating, the assault, the crating. You know what I mean when I say crating? They abducted the former Minister of Transport on the streets of London, put him in a crate, injected him, used a Mossad agent to inject him, and put him on a plane at Stansted Airport to bring him back to Nigeria. Why? The man was criticizing the government from London. He accused him of plotting a coup and carrying out a coup, and that he was a bad man. He now did this to him. Fortunately for Diko and for all of us, British intelligence found Diko crated in the box together with his Israeli tormentor, and they freed him. And a number of Nigerians were jailed for this. This is the kind of rule of law this man believes in. He doesn't believe in anything. He's a lawless man. He's a wicked man. And he's a man that should never be allowed to have power in this country. Okay, now let me tell you what the consequence of that particular action was. Do you realize that it was only after that, that is what they did to Diko, that only after that that Nigerians could not go to the UK. I mean, up until then, Nigerians would go to the UK and get visas at the airport. They would stamp them automatically. There wouldn't be an issue because we had such strong ties with the UK at the time. But that policy was reviewed after the Umaru Diko crating incident. And as a consequence of that, Nigerians could only get visas before they leave. They can't get it at the airport in the UK. It brought a lot of problems for our people. And of course, we became a pariah.